In this video, we'll be factoring a quadratic trinomial with an a value that is not 1. If a is not 1, then you need the factors of a and c that multiply then add to give you b. So we're still looking for factors to give us b, but this time we have an a value, so we have to find the factors of a and c that when you multiply then add them, they give you b. I like to use a chart. And the reason I like to use a chart is it really shows you what you're doing when you're factoring. However, there are other methods out there which will be shown in another video. When I use a chart, I use something called the butterfly method. This is of the form ax squared plus bx plus c. So we need the factors of a. Notice our a is not 1. The coefficient of z squared is 8. So that's our a. And our c is -3. So we need factors of 8 and -3 that will multiply then add to give us 10. So what I do is I put my number on the left, my a, on the left side of a chart, and my number on the right, which is -3, on the right side of a chart. And I need factors of each. So my factors of 8 would be 1 and 8, 2 and 4. My factors of -3 would be 1 and -3, and -1 and 3. So what I'm trying to do is find the factors that multiplied together and then added are going to give us 10. I do want to make note that my a value is always positive, and my c value is going to be the -1. So I'm going to take one set of factors, say 1 and 8, and then underneath it I'm going to put another set of factors. So I'll use 1 and -3. Now the reason that this is called the butterfly method is that we're now going to create the shape of a butterfly. We're going to multiply, cross-multiplying 1 times -3 to give us -3. And we're seeing what multiplies then adds. So -3 plus, I'm now going to multiply the 1 and the 8. So we've created kind of a butterfly shape there. 1 times 8 is 8. Now we want to add those together and see if it gives us 10. It gives us 5. So this combination does not work. Now we want to account for maybe the 8 gets multiplied by the -3. So I'm going to switch my bottom numbers and do -3 and 1 and try it again. So same factors, I'm just changing what I'm multiplying. So now 1 times 1 is 1 plus 8 times -3 is -24. Now 1 plus -24 is -23, so that does not work either. So that combination doesn't work. So now we could try 1 and 8 with another factor. We could try it with -1 and 3. We can already tell that it's not going to work. The only time that it's going to work to change where your sign is if you end up with the negative of the right answer. So if one of these had been -10, then we would know we needed to change our sign. So we know 1 and 8 isn't going to work with one of these. So now we move on. 1 and 8 doesn't work. Now we move on to 2 and 4. So I'm now going to try 2 and 4 with 1 and -3. So now multiplying 2 times -3, which gives me -6, and then add 4 times 1 gives me 4. That gives me -2, not 10, so that doesn't work. Now we have to remember to try to change our bottom numbers, so we're going to flip them, try it with -3 and 1. So now 2 times 1 is 2, plus 4 times -3 is -12. So 2 plus negative 12 gives us negative 10. So this is what I was saying when I said that we know we need to change where our sign is, where our negative is. We ended up with negative 10, but we want positive 10. So that means that if we use now in the same order with 3 then 1, but make our 1 the negative 1. So we're using 3 and negative 1. And try that. 2 times negative 1 gives us negative 2, plus 4 times 3 is 12. Negative 2 plus 12 is positive 10. This combination works. So now we know when we factor a quadratic trinomial, we're going to end up with 2 binomials. But this time we're not just going to have z and z, because z times z is z squared, not 8z squared. So what I usually do now from this point is I now show, okay, the 2 and 3 are going to be in the same parentheses. The 2 is what came from the 8. So it's the one that goes with z. So just from top to bottom, 2z and then a positive 3. Plus 3. And then 4z minus 1. Now the reason why that works is because since we multiplied the 2 and the negative 1 to get the correct answer, the 2 has to end up getting multiplied by the negative 1, which is only going to happen if they're in opposite parentheses. If we said 2z minus 1, we would never multiply the 2z and the 1. So we have to choose the pairs that were not multiplied together to put into our parentheses. Now if we go back and check that, like we have with the others, FOIL, 2z times 4z is 8z squared. For our outer, 2z times negative 1 is negative 2z. Our inner, 3 times 4z is 12z. And then our last, 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. Then combining like terms, we get 8z squared plus 10z minus 3, which is what we started with. So that works. Once you've done it enough times, you're able to much more easily guess which pair will work. Practice is really what makes you really good at factoring. And eventually, if you practice enough, you get to a point where you don't have to write them out to test them anymore. You just mentally do it. However, if this seems relatively new to you, or you haven't seen it much, or you struggle with it, then you'll probably continue having to write it out. However, it should get easier for you to pick which pair is going to work from the beginning.